Hamilton.
There's those moves.
My first celebrity impression will be Sarah Palin, or actually Tina Fey doing Sarah Palin. So since I'm the first one, I have to ask, how is the light okay? Is this like the sweet spot? Okay. Kind of short, can you see me? In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to change the way you think about autism. And that's not to say the way you're thinking about it now is incorrect. But I promise if you take this quick journey with me, you'll change the way you think about autism so that we can change the way we talk about autism. So who do you picture when you hear the word autism? Most people think of a child who has poor social skills, doesn't exhibit good eye contact, and usually they think of a boy. And then they think of that autistic boy as being a genius, a savant, a Rain Man. But autism is a spectrum, so let's change the conversation. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my personal experience with autism. And as a disclaimer, I just want to say this story isn't meant to represent anyone else but me and my kind of sort of weird family. This is the story of a woman with autism who happens to be my mother. This is the story of Fred and Leroy, and aforementioned sort of weird family. But we don't really think about moms and dads having autism, right? I mean, like, how does that even happen? Well, spoiler alert, a child with autism is going to grow up to be an adult with autism. And that adult with autism can make babies. 2 babies. Am I right? My sister's right there. There's 2 of us. For as long as I can remember, my mom has called me Fred and my big sister Leroy, and we call her Moppy. We've always been that family, a little bit weird. And Moppy was really, really different from the other moms. And so you might be thinking, what was it like to grow up with a mom with autism? Wait, do I have autism? Does my mom have autism? Do they make moms with autism? All right, just settle down. The easiest way to explain it is that it's kind of like being in a bilingual house. In your house, everyone speaks the same language, and so you don't know that you're weird or different until you leave the house and the door closes behind you and you're suddenly very aware of just how different you are and not like the others. Moppy was not like the other moms. She didn't cook or clean or ask us how our day was. She didn't talk to us about the birds and the bees. And she didn't like hugging. And for me, I struggled to connect with her from a very early age. I was an anxious and depressed little girl with a really serious mullet. And I needed a mommy to make it all better. And I would think to myself, well, why doesn't she like me? What am I doing wrong? This is my fault. And it wasn't until years and years later when, thankfully, I realized it wasn't my fault and it wasn't her fault. She wasn't doing it on purpose. It's just how she was. And in 2007, she was diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder at the young age of 58. And it's not like we didn't know, you know what I mean? Like we knew, but like we didn't have a name for it. And so we started talking about it and writing, and we got published. And then I was invited to speak at autism conferences where we met celebrities of the autism world, like Dr. Temple Grandin, who invited Moppy to be in her book. Are you kidding? And then, as Melissa said, I was selected to give a TEDx Omaha talk, which was an amazing experience. And I haven't shut up since because it turns out people are genuinely interested in the story of an undiagnosed woman who had a marriage and 2 children and worked. And they start to see Moppy as a symbol of potential for their loved ones with autism. And in case you didn't know, Moppy's a BFD. So the greatest gift of my family's so-called coming out of the autism closet is seeing Moppy learn to accept herself. From years of being bullied and teased and tormented and feeling like she was just never getting it right, always getting it wrong, she has learned to use her experience and her voice to help others. We've shared with our elected officials, the media, educators, and service providers. And so I hope that by sharing our story, we're doing a little bit to change the conversation. Let's stop saying things like kids with autism, or those kiddos on the spectrum are going to need our support, because adults on the spectrum need our support too, and they need it now, not sometime in the future. And so now it's your turn to change the conversation. This is autism.